Jai Maa Chhinnamasta, friends. I have another video on the goddess. I was curious. I came across a couple. I couldn't decide, so I want to watch both. This is called The Scariest Goddess in Hindu Scriptures, Maa Chhinnamasta. This episode features Dr. Vineet Agarwal, a very, very knowledgeable man. We just saw a depiction of Maa Chhinnamasta in the cave, in the trailer Varanasi to the world. It is one of those moments where everything stands still, right? The depiction is fierce. It is not something we see every day. It is not something we're very familiar with when we think of, God and goddess, something divine, something beautiful, This is a really, really fierce form. And I know nothing about her, except a little bit I read in the comment section. So I'm very curious to learn more, because I know no matter how fierce, ferocious, wrathful, terrifying a god in Sanatana Dharma is depicted, there's always, always, always a very beautiful story behind it. And once we know that, we cannot but open our hearts and fall in love with the god or the goddess. And with that, I mean, surrendering to them, looking up to them, being thankful and grateful for, whatever they have done in order to restore balance or inspire us. So, shall we dive into this?
It's a very beautiful depiction. I'm not sure if you've ever seen Chhinnamasta. Anybody who sees Chhinnamasta first reaction is, how can this be a god?
Yeah.
Because she's so scary. Totally. And the depiction is completely out of box.
Mm-hmm.
I first saw the painting of Maa Chhinnamasta in one of the temples, in Naina Devi temple. It was painted on the temple wall. And that was the first time, and I was a kid and I was scared, And it's much later that you understand what the depiction means. And, Chhinnamasta is shown standing on top of a love-making couple.
Mm-hmm.
And she has cut her own head, which she's holding in one hand. There are three sprouts of blood that are coming out of her neck. The central one is going into her own mouth. And the two on the left and right, they are going into the mouths of her companions, Dakini and Varnini. Okay? So anyone who looks at that image would be aghast. What does it represent? And it is scary as hell. Why would God be depicted in something so, unfathomable and dark, probably, right? And it was much later, while reading about the Mahavidyas, that I understood the significance. First thing is that she has cut her own head, which signifies death, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's standing on top of a love-making couple, which is creation. So it represents that the cycle of creation and death and destruction is an ongoing one, right? On one hand, there is death, and on another hand, there is creation, which is happening. She is holding her own head, and head signifies ego.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So the first step in attaining wisdom or advancing on the path of spirituality is letting go of your ego. Okay. That is what it represents. Our head, our face is our whole identity, right? We identify ourselves by that face. We keep looking in the mirror, how am I looking, etc. So that is the cutting off of your ego.
Nice.
The three sprouts of blood, they actually represent the nadis. The Ida Pingala and the Sushumna. And the central one, of course, is going into our own mouth, which is Sushumna, and Ida Pingala are represented by Dakini and Varnini.
You'll have to break that down a little bit. Very quickly, to summarize what the nadis are.
Yes, please.
It is your spine, your spinal cord, and two nerve canals that kind of surround your spinal cord.
In yoga, it is believed that, we have very minute nadis, which are like the nervous system, and they are along the spinal cord.
Astral nerves.
Sort of, yes. So they are along the spinal cord, And the central one is Sushumna, and it is surrounded by Ida and Pingala, which represent the sun and the moon. So the Kundalini, when we're talking about the Kundalini, when it rises through these channels. These are channels. Just like we have blood vessels for the transport of blood, we have lymphatic vessels. Similarly, we have these channels, the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, for the transmission of Kundalini energy. So that's what these sprouts of blood represent. Okay. So, I mean, once you understand it, it makes perfect sense. Oh, yes, this is quite clear. But till that time, you're always wondering why God is shown like this.
Indeed. I know it was just a short snippet. Sorry, guys, but I really wanted to see what Dr. Vineet Agarwal has to say. I used to watch him a lot, and it was really nice to listen to him again. So we still don't know the origin story. I'd be really curious to know more background. But anyways, there was a slight difference in explanation in regards to the picture. So the lovemaking couple, she is standing on, symbolizes creation, and she cutting off her head symbolizes death. And then there's, this play of death and birth, creation. Then also was mentioned that the blood, the 3 blood streams gushing out of her are related to the nadis, and he's talking about, the Kundalini, the energy rising with less and less ego, etc. Yeah, exactly, with less and less ego. Like, you have to cut your head, like you have to cut your ego in order for the energy to rise, right? Very interesting. Aren't there other ways to depict this, less ferocious? But then we need these kind of energies too, right? We need loving and sweet energies like Lord Krishna, Sri Ram. But then we also need fierce energies like Maa Durga, Maa Durga, but like Kali, and then Maa Chhinnamasta, to tame the energies that otherwise cannot be tamed. Sweetness cannot tame. Sometimes wrathful energy needs to be present in order to tame a certain kind of tendency within us, a certain kind of tendency within others. That's how it is, right? If there's lots of anger, lots of confusion, lots of whatever, right? You need to tame that. Yes, it can be through love and sweetness, but sometimes there's another way that needs to be taken. And however, I think those are very advanced, not to be taken lightly. We can always, go to Krishna, we can always go to Lord Shiva, we can always go to Sri Ram. They're always available. However, these wrathful deities, they're there for a very specific, certain kind of purpose with a certain kind of energy. I have respect and not stay away, but I, just at times, right? I call out to them, but not very often. Yeah, I actually have Mahakala here, but the Tibetan version of Mahakala, not as Lord Shiva. But that's the most wrathful depiction I have here right now. Yeah. Anyways, okay. That was just a little snippet. Learning a little bit more, focusing our mind a little bit more on the divine, making our minds a little bit more vast. I love it. Thank you so much. See you in the next video.